baseball.
All right,
Can't let my
we're going for
boys Dodgers or something like that.
What is Britta's talking about?
Huh?
Or what is Brownie talking about?
March
top
Madness.
of the show.
Is that basketball?
Yeah, but I'm like, who
Hey,
cares about
anchors.
that? Ooh.
Are we going top of the show now? Like rush record? Okay, sounds good. Guys, top of the show, recording live. Sorry about that. Alright.
I like it.
As long as we're
Just watch.
I'm just gonna be like,
How about them Dodgers? And be like, how about them? Yeah, just say how about them Dodgers? And be like,
yes.
what? And
How
I'll
about
be
them
like,
Dodgers?
well, I already know the Giants are gonna make it to the World Series this year.
Like, but what happened last year?
And then we end it.
Yeah.
Okay.
9, 8, 7, 6.
Cam one.
It's VO, but
Cam, I need that camera after. The camera's not ready.
go.
An black male was gunned down by police in Sacramento. More details are ahead.
And find out which state is taking steps to arm teachers with guns. Our coverage continues after the break.
Welcome to State of Events. I'm Jessica Mojenier.
And I'm Karen Rios.
Rallying for gun control could be heard throughout the nation. Here in the Bay Area, a massive crowd of protesters emerged in front of City Hall, and many marched down Market Street to the Ferry Building. Protesters held signs enchanted demanding change. According to March for Our Lives organizers, an estimated 800,000 protesters attended the gun control demonstration in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. If this number is correct, this event would be the largest protest at the nation's capital, exceeding the number of people who attended the inaugural Women's Day March. Students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School rallied at the march in D.C. calling for gun control. Student leaders say that they will continue to demand policy action on part of the nation's lawmakers to ensure students' lives are protected from acts of gun violence, like the school shooting that left 17 people dead at their school last month.
One of many states is taking initiative to let teachers carry guns in their classrooms. The state of Kansas has designed a new bill known as the SAFER Act. Parents are now worried about this bill because they will not have the ability to know if a teacher or another staff member has a gun around their children. Brett Parker, a teacher and lawmaker, started a petition for parents and teachers against the bill and has over 5,000 signatures. He also says as a teacher to young children, it is not a safe situation to carry a gun around. If a school district refuses to let employers carry a gun, they could be found negligent and sued. San Francisco Mayor Mark Farrell backs out from his support of the police union taser ballot measure. The approval by the SF Police Commission of Officers' usage of tasers was passed on Wednesday. He says the policy by the commission works best for both community and police. Although president of the association, Martin Holleran, disagrees and says voters should have a say.
Protesters spread throughout Sacramento after an unarmed black male was shot and killed by police on March 18th. 22-year-old Stephen Clark was pronounced dead at the scene after Sacramento police officers shot and killed him in his grandmother's backyard. The officers believed he was pointing a gun at them, but investigators say they did not find a weapon at the scene. Only a cell phone near the man's body. The shooting was recorded by 2 officer body cameras and from a helicopter. Sacramento police released the footage on Wednesday in attempts to be transparent throughout this investigation. This shooting sparked many Black Lives Matter protests in Sacramento over the weekend. Hundreds of protesters flooded downtown streets, standing together in solidarity to protest against police brutality. Protesters went from the Tower Bridge to the state capitol, blocking the entrances at the Golden One Center and even shutting down the freeway when protesters made their way onto I-5. According to the Washington Post, Clark is one of at least 244 people who have been fatally shot by police this year.
Police officers in San Mateo will become more present at certain schools after a customer from Big Five overheard a shooting threat by a man. The customer says he overheard a man asking an employee for a good shirt to wear and a gun to shoot up a school. According to the officers, employees did not allow the man to purchase a firearm. The man was wearing a camouflage sweatshirt and blue jeans and was north on El Camino Real when he was last seen. If you have any information, you are encouraged to call San Mateo Police Dispatch or 911. San Francisco Police Department is currently investigating a homicide of domestic violence report in front of a church. Police say that the suspect had possible self-inflicted stab wounds. The homicide took place on Sunday by SF State at the Chinese Christian Church on 19th Avenue. Around 2 p.m., they were both taken to the hospital where she was pronounced dead and the suspect was later taken into custody.
Parts of San Francisco are in for a big change regarding the housing crisis in San Francisco. Lauren G. is in the Sunset District to show how legislatures and developers are creating more housing.
Senator Scott Wiener proposed Senate Bill 827, which increases building height limits to a minimum of 85 feet if they are in a quarter-mile radius of public transportation lines in San Francisco. The new bill is proposed to help solve the city's housing crisis and create affordable housing, but many fear that the new zoning law would change the feel of the city, especially in neighborhoods such as the Sunset, Richmond, Twin Peaks, and Castro District, which mostly have single-family houses and couple-unit duplexes.
Here in the Sunset District, many developers have found ways to create more housing opportunities. They plan to demolish the 76 gas station and replace it with luxury condos. The building is expected to be 4 stories high, which is taller than all of the other buildings in this area. Many neighbors have a lot of things to say about this.
It's pretty disappointing. I think that they're gonna knock it down for like a 15 luxury condo that doesn't fit the area. Townhouse with 2 storefronts with no proposed parking. It's gonna make this area really congested. It doesn't really fit the area.
Creating taller buildings for more housing and businesses has its pros and cons. Neighbor Abe Lee shares his views.
I'm torn. I like the idea potentially of more businesses being there because that means this area becomes a little bit more vibrant. I really want a restaurant there.
Rezoning parts of SF may create buzz in neighborhoods that are usually more quiet, but not the buzz residents want to deal with. Changes in the neighborhood are not happening immediately, but in the next few years, you may be able to see the rise of different neighborhoods that you never knew existed. In San Francisco, Lauren G. for State of Events.
San Francisco Parks and Recreation Department announced that a reservoir located in Russian Hill will be converted into a San Francisco park. State of Events reporter Sarah Sullivan gives us an inside look into how this park plan came to be.
The Russian Hill Reservoir is 4.5 acres of unused land right by Fisherman's Wharf that has been around for over 60 years. However, the keep-out signs, the rusty gates, and the dried-out plants isn't a good sight for many visitors. But now a positive change is in the works, as the area has been approved to be a Francisco Park by park commissioners on a 6-1 vote, and neighbors are pleased with the approved change.
Yeah, very positive. It's much more pleasing to have a park there than to have the empty reservoir.
With the help of San Francisco's interim mayor, Mark Farrell, a design to transform the grassy fields and abandoned reservoir into a park has been given approval. Another person to thank is Bruce Keene, a board member of the Park Conservancy, who also happens to live right behind the reservoir.
To be a piece of property that had a better use than being fenced off, and so when we heard that it was likely going to no longer be fenced off, we started talking about what would be a nice thing to have here. And it turned out that the property was already designated as public open space, and it's been in the San Francisco general plan as public open space for decades.
Neighbors of the area are more than happy about the approved park, which is rumored to feature a playground, a dog park, a vegetable garden, and much more.
Now, the Board of Supervisors in Parks and Recreation need to raise over $25 million, and according to the latest report, they've raised about $9 million, and they need that $25 million to complete this project and get a start on it. So, in the meantime, residents of Russian Hill will just have to wait a little bit longer for their dreams to come true. In Russian Hill, San Francisco, I'm Sarah Sullivan for State of Events.
Next on State of Events, Stormy Daniels breaks her silence in a 60-minute interview with Anderson Cooper.
And find out what Mark Zuckerberg has to say about the Facebook scandal and what he has decided to do about it.
I saw a sleeping bear, a grizzly bear. It was sleeping behind a tree, and I saw a real coyote. Even though the planet's spinning, you can't see it spinning. Recycle things like boxes or something. And water helps the environment so everything can live. No water fish could not live. I've been in the ocean. Or the beach. When I go to my grandma and grandpa's house, I can walk. Nothing would get water in their whole land. Yeah. Throwing things away and using them again. The scraps we can make up. I like the planet. My future is now. My future is now. My future is now. My future is now. My future is now.
On 60 Minutes, Stormy Daniels discusses her alleged affair with Donald Trump more than a decade ago. She says that a few weeks after agreeing to tell her story in In Touch magazine, she was threatened by a man in a parking lot. She says the man walked up to her and told her to leave Trump alone, also explaining how the man looked at her daughter and said it would be a shame if something happened to her mom. In the interview, Daniels says that her fear led her to accept the payout for her silence. She received $130,000 from Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, as part of a hush agreement just before the 2016 presidential election. She's now suing Trump over the agreement, which she argues isn't valid because it was never signed by Trump. Last night's interview is the first televised interview where Daniels speaks about the alleged relationship with Trump.
President Trump orders a ban to restrict transgender people from serving in the U.S. military. The new ban says that transgender individuals with a history of gender dysphoria are prohibited from military service, except under certain limited circumstances. Earlier last year, federal judges blocked a similar blanket ban. The Pentagon followed with a court order that allowed transgender individuals to join the military if they met strict criteria, including medical records about the status of their health. 2 transgender individuals are already under contract in the U.S. military since that court ruling. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said in a statement that Trump has removed his previous policy to allow this new policy to take its place. LGBT advocacy groups are pushing back against the new policy, calling it a discriminatory attack on those who have volunteered their lives for their country.
After 5 days of keeping silent, Mark Zuckerberg finally addresses Facebook's data privacy scandal. This happened after a Delete Facebook campaign quickly spread around the world. Elon Musk is also joining the hashtag Delete Facebook campaign by deleting the SpaceX and Tesla profiles. On March 16th, the New York Times and The Guardian reported that a data mining firm named Cambridge Analytica, which had worked on Donald Trump's presidential campaign, had improperly obtained access to more than 50 million user profiles. Experts believe that the firm could have used that data to gain an unfair advantage in targeting voters. Zuckerberg has decided to testify before Congress in coming weeks after pressure from lawmakers, the media, and the public. Zuckerberg didn't address these stories for 5 days. On Wednesday, he wrote in a Facebook post apologizing and gave an interview to CNN. Zuckerberg says, "It's our responsibility to make sure this doesn't happen again."
From local news to the world, Sarah Cabrerito brings an update to the international news.
Thank you, Karen, and good morning, everyone. The US is expelling 60 Russian diplomats, punishing the Kremlin for the killing of a former Russian spy in Britain. This is the strongest act Donald Trump takes against Russia since he took office in 2016. With this decision, the US joins 14 European countries in the largest collective expulsion in history. as British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson tweets. And in Ghouta, the last rebel group refuses to leave the area. They are trying to negotiate with the Syrian government and its allies an end to the army's assault after a month of air attacks over the area. The other rebel groups have already left Ghouta and moved to other parts of the country in the biggest victory for the President al-Assad in more than a year. And moving back to Europe, Carles Puigdemont, former separatist leader in Catalonia, Spain, is under custody in Germany. The ex-president of the region was under voluntary exile in Belgium after facing up to 25 years in prison for organizing an illegal secession referendum last year. This detention may worsen Catalan crisis. In Barcelona, Catalans rallied on Sunday asking for the liberty of the former president. 10 people were arrested and 100 were injured after protesters clashed with riot police. We'll have to see how the conflict evolves over the next few days. This is all for this week. I am Sara Cabrerizo. Back to you ladies at the desk.
Thank you, Sarah. Next on State of Events, we'll take a look at gender disparity in the entertainment world and how women are breaking their silence.
Are you feeling a little March Madness? We've got the latest on who's getting closer to the trophy. Our coverage continues. As a glamorous...
Reporter Tyler McKinney knows what's going on behind the scenes and has all the details. Tyler?
Thanks, Jessica. I think we can all agree that receiving an Oscar is a huge achievement. Who wouldn't want one? Well, Steven Spielberg says that Netflix films shouldn't qualify for an Oscar at all. In a recent interview with ITV News, the talented and highly respected director said that movies shown on Netflix should not be allowed to compete for the Academy Awards. I know what you're thinking. Well, they deserve something, right? And trust me, I feel the same way. Spielberg says that if it's good, they deserve an Emmy, but not an Oscar. I don't know about everyone else, but I'd be content with an Emmy. But this isn't about me. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but Oscar winners not only get a shiny trophy, but a salary boost as well. Unfortunately, this comes with a big gender pay gap, but this isn't new news. This has been happening in Hollywood for years. With E being the latest perpetuator of gender disparity, women in the industry continue to come forward. Male Oscar winners take home about $3.9 million more, while females can only expect a $500,000 bonus. Viola Davis recently spoke out about the unequal opportunity and compensation for women of color in Hollywood. She mentioned that yes, women get paid less than what a man gets paid, but women of color are also being paid about a tenth of what a Caucasian woman is paid. Actresses such as Viola Davis and Monique, as well as television personalities like Kat Sadler, are starting conversations that are long overdue. It seems that the industry still has a lot of work to do when it comes to on-screen diversity, paychecks, and opportunity. Let's just hope that they work on it.
Definitely.
So, Gabby and I went on this little trip for spring break. You guys saw the photo of me holding the Emmy. It was fun.
That's right.
It was a lot of
Totally. So Tyler and myself, along with 20 other students, hit the road for a week full of media-filled activities. Here's the story.
Most importantly, it's the roll-ins.
Los Angeles Community College professor Jen Vaughn is the advisor of a course dear to her heart in the Becca program. Becca 395 Close Up on Electronic Media introduces students to the television industry.
I thought this was going to be a wonderful fit. It was a really great opportunity to reconnect with the new group of Becca grads and connect to my own network down here in LA.
During spring break, Becca students got a behind-the-scenes look at television tapings, sitcoms, news stations, and game shows. Alumni Chris Morocco wishes he had the chance to explore more of the industry opportunities before starting his career.
I don't think it's expected that you're supposed to know at birth the thing that you're supposed to do with your life.
Professor Vaughn coordinated a panel of Becca alumni to educate graduating seniors on what steps to take next. Becca alumni Chris Morocco explains how the move to Los Angeles right after school can be terrifying, but is possible.
LA, I don't think is a fun place just to cold turkey shoot out to. I think it's a place you need to know somebody.
Networking in the entertainment industry is a must to secure a job. Sending resumes is not enough. You have to find the places and those in charge.
Really try to find the places, find somebody that works there, talk to them, take them out to lunch.
Visiting Los Angeles is an exciting and inspiring experience for students. The end goal of the trip is to hone in on our skills and decide our next step in our careers. The best advice for students is
have a clear understanding when you cross that stage on graduation day of where you want to go.
Changes coming soon to home of Oakland Raiders. The Oakland A's are offering to pay $135 million in tax debt for the city and county in exchange of ownership of the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. The baseball team currently shares the Coliseum with the football team Oakland Raiders. The Raiders are now moving home to Las Vegas in 2020. After Raiders move out, the A's plan to purchase the complex to build a new ballpark.
We are on C8.
For on recruits front. And that's all we have for state events. Thank you for tuning in.
We hope to see you next week.
The University of Michigan heads to the Final Four. Upset wins against top colleges. University of Houston. Second half, first rival.